Hello, everyone. This is John with Cazoomi. So, welcome to our unfiltered series here in SyncApps. So, today, I'm so excited to introduce our guest, Stacey Rowand, the new Associate Vice President of Information Systems at CAHME, or Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Management Education. So, I know our subscribers or audience would really love to see this video as there's a lot of lessons that they can get about how to manage your automation, especially on real-time data management, right? So hi, Stacy, how are you today?
Hi, good. How are you?
Yeah, doing great here. So yeah, could you share a bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am the Associate Vice President of Information Systems at CAHME. I've been with CAHME for about 3 years. Um, and I previously worked in software engineering prior to this job and have a bit of background within, the engineering world. So I have been brought on to CAHME to help manage our systems, our Salesforce system, our marketing systems, and yes, that's kind of my day-to-day job.
I see. Yeah, that's cool to hear. So how does, having a new position right now from your previous position, so how does the transition for having that one?
So this has been a different experience and a really unique one. I'm getting to learn a lot more about Salesforce in particular, Mailchimp, and Cazoomi recently. I'm getting to dig in a little bit into more of how we can use these tools to help better CAMI and help progress us in our marketing abilities, and just even as a team as a whole in what we can provide to our programs, to our site visitors. Um, so it's been a really great experience and definitely a little bit different than the things I had done in the past.
I see. So I think one of the major statement that I just catch is that marketing metrics, right? So when you're
Yes.
sending out campaigns, this is very big tool for you as well to check those engagements, right? Like those opens, clicks, and bounces back into your Salesforce. So how does SyncApps plays a major role on this type of use case that you have?
Absolutely. So my goal, given to me by our CEO about 2 years ago, was to get those metrics back into Salesforce. We wanted to see how successful our Mailchimp campaigns were and be able to trend that, and able to be able to dig into particular people or groups and see how those emails are, what are those metrics looking like? How many people are opening them? What links are they clicking on? Things like that. And we used to have this working prior to my time here at CAMI, where we were getting that information pulled back from MailChimp into Salesforce. And then a few years ago, that had kind of broken off. So I took on the goal of trying to figure out how can we start doing that again? How can we get back to getting those metrics within Salesforce? So I actually was on a webinar and somebody mentioned your name, Kazumi, and I
Yeah.
started digging into you guys. And what I really liked about Kazumi, that was exactly what we needed, was the two-way sync. So going not just one directional, but the fact that we can sync between MailChimp to Salesforce and Salesforce back to MailChimp, so that we can keep these two, unique databases in line with each other, because our MailChimp had gotten so far out of date from our Salesforce. So with Kazoomi, I have been able to bring those back into one single database that's constantly being updated from one way to the other and back and forth.
I see. All right. But basically, on that type of flow, you're using the field mapping feature, right? So in that type of case, so any records from these both systems, you have a specific fields that you wanted to be populated bidirectionally, correct?
Correct. Yep. So we're really trying to make sure that our, users are when we have a new contact, okay? So we have a new university contact or a new just person interested in CAMI, whenever we enter them into Salesforce, that they're going into MailChimp. But also, if someone finds our newsletter and subscribes to MailChimp, that person's coming back into our Salesforce so that we're tracking that record of that person. So that's really what we're looking at. We've been, the bidirectional sync that we have for the field mappings, first name, last name, and I think account and our email address is what we're looking at.
All right, I see. But how about this? Because I think most of our subscribers here, one of the most they really want to have or to get is that to have a real-time updating data, especially for removing those in real time, right? Because we have this feature which is full sync that would automatically match the both systems when this is triggered. So do you have any type of case where full sync triggers and you see that right, it was actually removed from their groups or tags from Mailchimp automatically when they remove from your Salesforce?
Yes. So that's one of my favorite parts is if
Mm.
somebody is
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
unsubscribing from my
Mm-hmm.
MailChimp, that, when that process, I actually have it set to run overnight. So whenever the sync happens, that person the next day I get the notification that they have been removed from the campaigns that I have them in within Salesforce. Because I have actually used Salesforce to sort of set up some I don't know if you're familiar with Salesforce flows, but
Mm,
I
yeah.
actually have flows running in the background. So I have contacts within my Salesforce that live within a variety of what I call MailChimp campaigns, which is how we group our contacts within MailChimp. And so one of the really great things is that's all automated now. It's such a less manual effort, which is exactly what we were looking for. So if somebody unsubscribes, or let's say I have a new program director of a university and I add them to my Salesforce, I know that when that system, that the Cazoomi job runs overnight, that person's going to be pulled into MailChimp and end up in the correct group over there. So when I go to send out my next email the following Monday, I know that person's already in there and ready to go.
I think that is really the beneficial of that type of that feature that we have because it really match up the data automatically, right? So that when you're sending out campaigns, you have the assurance that all right, this record should not be on this segment or group in Mailchimp because we have already removed this from our Salesforce, right? So I think this would also align with the GDPR, correct? If you're familiar with that one,
With the what?
GDPR. Or
I'm,
when you're sending out campaigns, if they don't want to receive this type of email, then they should not be
oh,
targeted on
absolutely.
that
I
one.
think that's very important to us is making sure that if somebody does not want to receive our email, that they don't receive our email. So the great thing is that email opt out gets updated within Salesforce. As soon as someone unsubscribes within our MailChimp, that we have that process running overnight, the next day they're listed as email opt out and they're removed from any of those campaigns within our Salesforce, and they're not getting our emails anymore.
Ah, yeah. Talking about email opt-out, I think this is the unique identifier as well, right? When someone unsubscribed from the campaign that you're sending out. So with this
Yeah.
type of flow of SyncApps, because the default behavior here that we have is that if they unsubscribe, then SyncApps would automatically flag them as opted out in Salesforce. So how does this, contributed in your automation or day-to-day automation in your system?
Yep, that was one of the main things I was looking for initially when I was looking at tools that could do exactly what Kazumi does, but nobody does it bi-directional is what
Mhm.
was really great. So the email opt-out in the past, prior to implementing Kazumi, we would actually, if we would receive an unsubscribe email from MailChimp, we would have to manually go in and update our Salesforce. And that process broke down and stopped happening. So we didn't have that link anymore. And that was a concern, right? So with this process, we can have it be that someone unsubscribes from MailChimp or someone called and then that gets pulled into Salesforce and we know they're now an email opt-out, or we have someone call us up and say, hey, I don't want to get these emails anymore. I mark them email opt-out in Salesforce and that gets updated in MailChimp. So I very good peace of mind of knowing that both scenarios are working. And again, it's that bi-directional piece that's just so important. If it was only working the one way, there would still be such a manual effort to make sure that one of those databases was up to date.
Yeah, that's great to hear as well. But talking about that one, if you could just take a look for these automations that you have right now, how much do you think time did you save um on a day-to-day basis or a month or in a year having this type of flow or integrations that you're using right now?
Um, I would say um, in a time, I don't know if I can pinpoint exactly time, but I can assure you user error is limited, right? So it's not, so now by implementing things, automating things, you take that human error element out of, oh, I forgot to do this, or
Exactly. Yeah.
those type of things. And I think that that is definitely important. Now, there definitely is a time saver as well. I don't know that I can quantify that very well right now, but I do know that it would have taken us hours and hours to go through and update all of our unsubscribed contacts from MailChimp to get them accurate within Salesforce. And any of those little minor changes. And maybe they're coming through just, a few here and there, but whenever you add that up and the fact that that is just completely off of your mind now and you don't even need to think about it, it is definitely a time saver. But again, I think the accuracy is more important to us than even the time.
I 100% agree with that statement that you have there, Stacy. But again, in SyncApps also, once you have configured it correctly, all you need is to leave it and let it do the magic, right? So any
Yeah,
systems that would do that, any additional of your systems like adding records, new updates from your marketing automation solution. So once the sync is run, we will then automatically catch those and sync it bidirectionally, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, yep, I think that's really very informative, Stacy. Thank you for sharing that one. And again, I'm so happy to get all of those use cases because I know our subscribers would really love to listen about this one. And yep, I think to
I do
summarize,
have one more little thing I can share with you, John, that's been a
yeah, sure.
big change, a big help for us, is that we have started as part of implementing Cazoomi, we took that piece of things and we kind of took our MailChimp um, our CAHME Digest is what we call it, our newsletter, to a new level where we're actually able to um, take pieces of our biweekly email that goes out and direct it to just very specific subsets of people. And that's all based within filters in Salesforce. So what Cazoomi has allowed us to do is to sort our contacts into various groups, which we create campaigns for. And then we pull those through Cazoomi into our MailChimp, and we can actually market very specific pieces of our biweekly just to subsets of groups
Mm, mm.
within our main contact list. And that has been huge for us because we have quite a variety of audiences. And so targeting what messages they're getting in that biweekly versus them getting this whole huge long list where maybe 50% of it applies to them has been a huge change for us. And that has been one of the most exciting pieces for us with Cazoomi.
I see. And that is the segmentation feature, right?
Yeah.
That would automatically create a segment going into your MailChimp. So yeah, I think it has the
Yeah.
same benefits again. So when you're sending out campaigns, it would be easier for you to target which campaign should be sent out based on their groups, right? In your MailChimp.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yep. So I'm really so happy to hear all of that statement again, Stacy. And yep. I think on the future we will have future trialers that would have the same use cases that you have. This would be a very informative. But again, Stacy, I don't want to keep you longer in this one. Again, thank you for that informations and that use cases that you have shared with us. And yep, and again, congratulations to your new positions, and that
Thank
was quite very impressive to get into that higher position, right? So again, Stacy, what we'll try to do right now is that we will try to close this one. And again, thank you for having us. Thank you for being our guest here at SyncApps. And yep, again, this is John
you.
with Kazumi. For more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell.